Hi there, John Wilkinson here, and thanks as always for tuning in to my History Made Easier YouTube channel. I've got a book out on Amazon that looks at Germany and the causes of World War II. And in it I've got a section that focuses on the legacies of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles and the other Paris peace treaties, and the work of the League of Nations. Now, if we use that paragraph and focus first on the legacy of World War I, we have to understand the emotions that war had let loose on all of those who had fought in the war and experienced the war on the home fronts. For Germans, and of course that's our particular focus, for Germans there was the bitterness of defeat, a bitterness that followed a massive sacrifice in World War I. Hitler epitomized that sacrifice. I am not an apologist for Hitler, I promise you. But Hitler was a brave soldier. He volunteered to fight and he fought bravely. He won 2 Iron Crosses. That's no mean achievement. And his experience led to a passionate hatred of the Treaty of Versailles. And you've got to add to the experience of those soldiers the experience of civilians back in Germany. The civilians who were worried about their husbands or their sons or their fathers out fighting the war, whilst at the same time really struggling to find food, to keep going. Now, Hitler epitomizes this feeling in post-war Germany. And I'm going to read you a very short paragraph from my ebook that shows Hitler's feelings for the Treaty of Versailles. Here's what I write. Hitler had for a long time made clear his hatred of the treaty. In a speech made in 1923, he had said that the armistice had been the humiliation of Germany and the treaty had been its ruin. In Mein Kampf, he called the treaty the greatest villainy of the century. And 10 years later, after that first speech, as Chancellor, he told the assembled Reichstag in 1933 that all Germany's problems were caused by the treaty. Now, we have to say that Hitler was tuned in to how all Germans felt about that treaty. He was speaking for all of them. We have to be pretty clear about that. So, what about the other treaties? Well, I'm not going to go into the detail of the treaties and so on, but that I'm sure you're pretty well clued in on. What I want to draw our attention to is how countries responded later. Think about the treaties and how Austria welcomed the Anschluss. Think about the treaties and the way in which Italy, one of the winners, referred to the victory, their victory, as the mutilated victory. And think about the fact that Hungary Bulgaria, and Romania as well, all joined with Germany on the same side in World War II. And as far as Turkey was concerned, well, after all it had experienced in the war and from the treaties that followed, well, Turkey kept well out of World War II until it was absolutely clear who was going to win, and then it joined on the side of the Allies. Think about as well, though, the impact that the Treaty of Versailles had on Britain. Britain almost immediately felt that the Treaty of Versailles I'm talking about now, was too harsh. And this has a clear link to appeasement. But also with the treaties as a whole, there is the fact that the successor states that were created were not only weak, but they fought amongst each other. If you go back and look at the takeover of Czechoslovakia after the Sudetenland, when Hitler took the rest of Czechoslovakia, both Poland and Hungary grabbed bits for themselves. So I think there is a powerful legacy from the war and the peace treaties that followed that has a direct link, of course it does, to the causes of World War II. Now, what about the League and the League's failures? Well, the League was shown to be weak. You guys have looked at that with Manchuria. You have looked at it with Abyssinia. But think also of the Spanish Civil War. Think of the way Germany was dealt with, both in respect to the French and Belgian invasion of the Ruhr in 1923, but the way in which Hitler got away with everything that he did. The League of Nations was weak. And we have to think about that and think about the countries that were involved. Italy in the case of Abyssinia, Japan with the case of Manchuria, and Germany, always a key factor, of course. But we then look at the formation of the Anti-Comintern Pact. Who are the countries involved? Germany, Japan, and Italy. The countries that were getting away with murder when we look at the work of the League of Nations. And don't forget as well that the Soviet Union wasn't even invited to the Paris Peace Treaties, wasn't invited to join the League of Nations at the beginning, and the Soviet Union ends up signing a pact with the devil, the Nazi Soviet Pact. And so I think, again, there's a lot there that is a legacy in the post-war years that has a direct link with any explanation of World War II. So I hope I've turned that around in a different kind of way for you, to demonstrate that these legacies had a powerful impact on the events that led to World War II. Yes, Hitler, I think, remains the most important factor but don't neglect these others. So as always, thank you for listening. Cheers.